Welcome back to All Things Probing, where in this video we will be demonstrating how to set a work offset using the Renishaw Inspection Plus 0.1 axis probing cycle for any single surface features. This will be a multi-video training tutorial series covering all things probing. We will go through both the basic and advanced features of CIMCO probing in Mastercam and the probe operation of your machine, so make sure to follow along, like, and subscribe as we dive in. To begin, we can open up Mastercam and a previous part file. In this example, I will start by creating a new plane and setting that origin to the upper left-hand corner of my part. Because my origin is going to be located at the intersection of two surface features, the 0.1 axis datum cycle is perfect for setting a work offset, as I can probe these single surface features in both the X and Y axis to find the reference surface position, naturally finding the intersection from each and setting it as my origin. To get started, we can click on the CIMCO cycle probing icon located on our CIMCO tab and go to the workpiece datum category. We're going to start with the 0.1 axis cycle. The workflow will be identical to our previous cycles, and because I had already selected a probe, we can bypass this and enter an operation comment if you wish. If you do not already have a probe defined, please watch a tutorial video on how to define a probe. Next, we will click on the Cycle tab, followed by right-clicking in the Geometry section. You will notice that for this cycle, we have the option to select geometry from points. This can either be wireframe and/or solid endpoints. Since I want to set my X, Y, and Z axis all within one cycle, I can simply click on the known point locations and adjust any of their positions. I will start by selecting my Z axis point based on my arc geometry. You will notice that CIMCO probing is now associated to that point, and we can start defining specifics to this probe path. Looking at our current settings, you'll notice that the X and Y axis were defined based on my selected point. We can then define the specific measuring axis, direction, height, and safety distance, along with the clearance height and a few other settings for this particular path as needed. In our example, we will first want to measure the Z-axis, and so I will change my measuring axis to Z and the direction to negative. You can then define the measuring height by simply typing in a number, using your right mouse button click menu, and access the flyout menu and use such an option of Z-coordinate of a point, or use your center mouse wheel to scroll up or down, as this will increase or decrease that value. I will keep mine to 0, as this is where the existing work offset on the machine is currently set. I will then set my safety distance to a 0.250, as this will be the height in which the probe will stand off of the surface and begin its probing cycle. Lastly will be my clearance height, which is the height that the probe will rapid to, from, and in between cycles. Now that we have the basic values input, you can see a visual of the probe path on your screen and can adjust any of the values to get a live, updated feedback. We can then set an over-traveled distance if you wish, as this will allow the probe to travel past the expected coordinate without alarming out, along with the work offset number that we are currently using and wish to update. In this example, we will use G154P10. Within the cycle, you also have an option to print data, which would deprint out a probing report based on your machine's I/O channel and parameters. We can also shift the work offset by a certain value after a set by using the datum set point option. You will also notice a suppress probe on/off and a measurement result tick box. The suppress probe on/off will keep the probe turned on while it's probing in between cycles and can be set per operation. Measurement result will allow you to copy the probe's results into user-defined specific variables on your CNC controller so they can be referenced later. This is important because the standard variables that Renishaw writes into are constantly being overwritten per probing cycle. The feature-to-feature option will be covered in its own tutorial. Now that all the settings for my Z-axis probe are set, let's continue on by adding additional cycles for the X and Y axis. You'll notice that when I click on the desired probe location for the X and Y axis, that all my existing settings carry down into these subsequent cycles. We can then click on each of the cycles and adjust any of the settings if needed, such as my measuring axis and direction. Now that we have the basic values input for all the cycles, you should be able to see a visual of the probe path on your screen and can adjust those parameters as needed to get the live updated feedback. Once you check out of the cycle, you can simulate it within Backplot, Verify, or Machine Simulation and see how it looks. You'll notice that the cycle will probe each user-defined point, finding its reference surface position, and setting it to my new origin location. Let's post out the code to see how it looks, along with how it would run on the machine. Looking at the Renishaw Inspection Plus code for our Haas mill, you'll notice that the program is nice and short and makes the code very easy to read. As we go through, you will find your probe on and off commands, the probe's protected safety moves in order to approach and retract from the part safely, along with the 0.1 axis cycle. Next will be our Q value, which defines the over travel distance, along with the S number, which defines the work offset number that we are updating on the machine. We can then see the actual and deviation results that are being copied into my user-defined variables so I can display the results on the control or use the results later. We then repeat the same process for both the X and Y axis. All of this information can be referenced in the Renishaw Inspection Plus manual. We hope that you found this video beneficial. For further information, questions, or to request a free 30-day trial of CIMCO probing, please contact CIMCO or your local reseller today or visit our website at probing.com. Thanks for watching.